Captain Marvel 2 is rumored to be a cosmic horror movie in the vein of Aliens in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I am so sick of this woke culture crap.
What does Aliens in 2001: A Space Odyssey have to do with that?
What are you talking about?
That's the kind of style that the screenwriter said this would follow.
Oh. That sounds cool. Sorry. Once you say Captain Marvel, I immediately stopped listening and formed my own opinion.
Didn't you vote for Bernie?
Got some random Captain Marvel 2 news here from the website cosmicbook.news. Captain Marvel 2 scheduled to be released as part of Phase 5 of the McCoo. Why doesn't one call that? In 2022.
Mr. McCoo.
McU. Rumor has it the SWORD organization will be a central focus of the movie.
Which I know stands for the Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
The rumored plot of the movie is that she's supposed to be an agent for SWORD. She's supposed to assemble an A-Force to fight against a cosmic threat. I haven't actually read the full article. We'll give our opinions as we go. All right, so it's claimed the Air Force.
The Air Force.
Wow, who would have
They're
thought?
bringing in the Navy for this one?
It's claimed the Air Force members in Cap 2 include Miss Marvel, who's getting a Disney Plus series, She-Hulk, also getting a Disney Plus series,
And maybe in Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Woman. It's rumored Feige wants to develop the characters. Scar Witch. Yes, we know. Mighty Thor, Valkyrie, and Spectrum. Oh.
Little Monica Rambeau.
Oh, that would be pretty cool if they got the A-Force going and you have all these rising predominant female characters.
Yeah, Birds of Prey, man.
And then you combine them into their own mashup movie. It could give you a different type of mashup in the MCU to get excited for outside of just another Avengers Assemble kind of flick. That sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, you can make a whole movie out of that one shot from Endgame. All the ladies show up.
The rumors offer Secret Invasion Disney Plus series is being developed and will be tied directly into Captain Marvel 2. It's said that the Secret Invasion series will explore a group of Skrull refugees hiding out on Earth who are pursued by Squadron of Kree sleeper cells led by Yon-Rogg and the remaining members of Star Force. Who? The main character will be hulking a Kree Skull hybrid who has taken the identity of Teddy Altman, a normal high school student. This is a crazy, specific, really cool sounding rumor if you ask me.
Yeah. That sounds pretty cool. And I mean, the Secret Wars are famous.
And to get a Secret Invasion show, and that's something that people wanted to be explored more in Captain Marvel, I actually think would be a pretty neat thing to get on a Disney Plus series.
Yeah, man. Or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The leaker, a guy urinating on the streets, claims this film will deal with the SWORD, base being compromised by a rare alien threat. The threat is the Brood, who are laying eggs on the SWORD base and possessing agents. It turns out that only male operatives can get compromised. I don't know if I believe that. Which leads to the formation of the A-Force. What? Is that comics accurate? Someone comment down below. That just sounds a little ridiculous. Yeah. Only the men. Carol and the other female heroes of the Marvel Universe must stop the spread of the Brood and their influence across the galaxy. Turns out that the species are operating as parasites and have been secretly conquering planets in the universe. Wow, this is pretty neat stuff.
Cosmic,
In order to kill them, they must kill the Empress Brood, which means going to their home planet.
Yeah. You gotta remove the head.
That sounds like a whole lot of sci-fi things that could also be really cheesy.
Yeah.
On paper, this sounds ridiculously corny, but super fun at the same time.
All I want is this to start out as Alien and then turn into Starship Troopers by the end, and I will be satisfied 100%.
Well, that's a good call, though, in some ways, because Aliens was what, late 80s? Starship Troopers capped off the 90s. Even though this is just a rumor, it sounds like the kind of cheese I would really enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
But would fans like it?
Oh, no, because it's Captain Marvel. But I mean, it would depend on the cheese. It would depend on, because, people do take issue with Marvel's sense of humor. So I feel like if they could match it to the 90s and properly filter it through that era's aesthetic the right way, I think it could work.
Yes.
I think it could.
The potential leaker finished. So Megan McDonnell, the co-owner of McDonald's, Megan McDonnell, that's Zonnell, also a writer of WandaVision, has pitched the sequel as heavily inspired by Aliens and 2001: A Space Odyssey, and almost, that's where we have to really lean in here, almost a cosmic horror movie. To borrow from Aliens, I feel would be cool. 2001: A Space Odyssey as well. The thing though is those two movies, when I see what they're referencing in terms of their script, tonally and stylistically, I could see a version of any film if you said it's in the vein of Aliens and 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? I could see any movie like that. When you read the plot description, I'm like, well, I don't get Aliens or 2001: A Space Odyssey at all. Tonally is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm having a hard time kind of wrapping my brain
It sounds
around
like
that part.
like a more paranoid viral outbreak.
Yeah.
Like isolation movie, at least until they get to whatever planet they need to.
It actually sounds something more like something Joe Cornish would direct.
Yeah. I'm wary of any mention of horror now with Marvel. When I saw the headline, I was like, well, how cosmic horror are we talking about? Because you just hyped up Doctor Strange for being super horror and then walked it back off that ledge to ostensibly not being that horror-y. I'm always curious now as to what they mean by that and how much they want to stick to it. And yeah, going with touchstones like Aliens and 2001: A Space Odyssey are kind of funny to me because also just Marvel movies aren't scripted like that. Unless we're gonna get a 15-minute, colors and trippy symbolism montage at the end of this, like 2001 is a very deliberate kind of film, and I feel like the tone of that movie kind of exists within its form.
Right.
So it's an interesting set of touchstones, and yeah, based off the plot description, I'm not really seeing it here, but maybe that'll make it more interesting. Maybe to see that plot with those tones will, create that alchemy.
That's true. A-Force and the Fabulous Emancipation of one Captain Marvel sounds great.
That's right. Then finally spin that team movie off if you make enough money to do so.
Yeah. If any of these rumors are to be true, I feel like it'd be pretty neat. We just did a video about Daredevil potentially being in Spider-Man 3, and this article does go to point out that She-Hulk is also one of the rumored characters because they're both lawyers. What excites me about this mashup, though, if any of this is to be true, is that Miss Marvel and She-Hulk will have their own TV shows, and they would have a chance to immediately cross over into one of the movies, as opposed to the thing that we always wanted with, at least a good amount of those Netflix Marvel characters.
Yeah, Danny Rand.
To eventually go into one of the Avengers movies, and that never happens. But also be a good business module overall to entice people to go watch those shows as well. I don't know about a Spider-Woman being developed. This is actually the first time I'm hearing about this. I'm pretty much out of the loop on that. For Spider-Woman to be introduced in here, I think would be a neat addition. Scarlet Witch, Mighty Thor, and Valkyrie, they make the most sense. I think out of all the women who would be teaming up here, I think the one you really got to get right would be Spectrum, the older Monica Rambeau, which would be cool. But then that begs the question, though. This is probably not in the 90s now, right?
Or at least not on Earth 90s.
If she's older, and then the fact that you also do have these other characters, if they are doing the whole A-Force, it would not be in the 90s.
Yeah, it would have to be at least the 2000s.
This actually sounds pretty awesome in a lot of ways. Depending on how you do the balancing act of it, they could pull it off. It does sound like a lot, though, to throw in a movie.
Especially a movie that needs to make some headway on its characterization.
You're already introducing the concept of sword. Maybe that is part of what Nick Fury was doing at the end of Far From Home. The thing about this rumor is this actually sounds plausible. And the fact that the writer came out and said that they are doing something kind of in the vein of cosmic horror, that would make sense. It's really the A-Force thing that I'm having the hardest time believing they're actually trying to develop, even though Brie Larson has in the past campaigned to want to get like a female superhero team-up movie. But at this point, I'm like, why not just make it an A-Force movie?
To call it, instead of Captain Marvel 2, Captain Marvel and the A-Force or something like that. You know? Get it in the right direction. So you don't have to retitle it later. But I'm always a little wary. I'm always a little wary when they're like, hey, we're gonna introduce a whole new team in this movie. But there are ways to do that, and it would be rad to see all these characters too. I just hope that if everybody complained about warming up to Captain Marvel, that they really don't get too distracted with all this extra stuff and really focus on her.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Do you want Captain Marvel 2 to go the A-Force route? Does cosmic horror excite you? Who'd you vote for?
I wonder if they're leaking these things because they can't put movies out.
Probably.
I wonder if they're allowing these to come out just so they could be like, keep thinking of us.
Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Click that notification bell. And hey, let's end this with a... Eric Horstman. Eric has been having kind of a rough time, as a lot of people have. I got a message from him today. John wrote you.
I wrote you a story. Yeah, hold on. We have like a book. I'm space work a book. This is the tale of Eric The horseman, gay as a maypole and ripped as a Norseman. He went out one day to go see his shrink, and along the way stopped for a drink. The horseman Eric, oh, he was hammered. Eric the horseman was drunk. So he took off his pants, saluted the room, and dropped his pint glass with a clunk. On a bender now was horseman the Eric, no end in sight to this garish nightmare, until there in the street shone a neon glow, buzzing like a grinder match in the snow. With his pants still off and his cheeks shining red, the anxious horseman swiveled his head. He marched right inside, his money in hand, and said, "Give me the works, and make sure it's rad." The clerk said, "Okay, but what do you want?" Eric stood dumbstruck. He'd forgot. The wasted Eric rattled his brain, but all that remembering, it was in vain. With a sigh, the horseman sat and said, "Just give me whatever that is," throwing his finger to the left. And the clerk replied, "That's not our design. That's just this really awesome YouTube channel I watch." To which Eric replied, "Am I paying you to tat or am I paying you to talk?" Eric heard, "That'll be $700 as he blacked out of sight. And at this point, that tattoo guy was too tired to fight. Down sat the artist with a sigh and his hues. And that's the story of Eric's Real Rejects tattoo. So thanks, Eric Horseman. I hope things get better for you.